Hi, welcome back to God's a Feminist, and here's proof. So today we're going to get into more of the specifics of what is rape and what is not rape and how we should respond to rape. We're going to talk about how people like to call rape sex, but rape is not sex, and how women can often be blamed for really rape, but it is impossible for a woman to be responsible for rape because a woman is not capable of raping. And that is not to say that there are not female predators out there. Females can definitely molest, people. They can sexually assault people, if you grab somebody or if you touch somebody inappropriately. A woman can be a sexual assaulter, but a woman cannot be a rapist. So we're going to talk about rape specifically, and we're going to talk about why women need to stand up for themselves in a very pervasive rape culture. So recently one of my friends got married, which is very exciting, but unfortunately for me it was a very scary experience to know that she was getting married, because I did not know, because we're not that close, we're just more like acquaintances, not like best friends, but we did talk about her relationship a little bit, very briefly, nothing out of the ordinary. But because she was getting married, I had this emotional response of fear, because I did not know if she was prepared for marriage. And I don't know if any woman going into marriage is prepared for marriage, because from what I know, the church does not provide premarital sex therapy for couples. And that is really dangerous. So I'm going to use my phone again because I wrote a lot of notes in preparation for this video. I wrote, when you go to a wedding, everyone is dressed to the nines. Everything is glamorous and dazzling and beautiful and extravagant. But the reality is that too many women are being elaborately imprisoned in a prison of sexual abuse that we as a culture are doing our part to celebrate. Think of a bride, the most beautiful person in the most beautiful dress on her wedding day. As a Christian culture, we tend to value chastity. But the reality is that if we expect women to be virgins on their wedding night, we are introducing and indoctrinating a celebration of entrapment, of rape, and sexual abuse. We are celebrating what could potentially become a dangerous cycle of abuse, and in many cases it is already a dangerous cycle of abuse. A cycle of shame, of silence, because we don't prepare our daughters sexually for marriage. And I said, when churches do not provide sex therapy in premarital or marital counseling, this lack of responsibility taken is the equivalent of systemic institutional sexual abuse. So I want to talk about how, as a woman, we're really responsible for knowing our own bodies and for speaking up for our own sexual safety and for our own sexuality and for our own sexual satisfaction. And women need to be equipped with an understanding of their needs before, during, and after intercourse. I want to address something especially concerning that actually a female pastor said. I was very afraid by what she was saying, because basically she was saying that every other sexual act besides a missionary is sin. And I was like, that's not true, because one, she spoke directly out against oral sex, and oral sex is in the Bible and it's celebrated and wonderful and really important for women. So that's completely unbiblical and false that she said that. But also it's really scary as a woman to think about only having sex in a missionary position, because I don't know about you, but from the one time in my life that I've had a 6'3" man on top of me, I completely froze. And I was like, it didn't go as far as to be sex, but if it had, it would have been rape. Just imagine the first time you have sex and it's a man on top of you. Like, what is happening to my body right now is that it is seizing and it is trying to run away, but it can't because it's frozen. I wrote a list of why women should be on top. I said, especially the first time, being on top allows a woman to feel and be safe because a mammoth is not crushing her and causing her to freeze and be raped. Also, for the first time, or the first series of times, it gives the woman more agency and caution over her own body. She can decide how deep she lets him in, how fast or slow they go. She can make decisions that protect both her safety and her comfort. I read in a book on female sexuality called Her Way, that women prefer to be on top statistically, and that makes a lot of sense safety-wise. It's really shocking and makes you freeze to have a man pounce upon you when he gets on top, and women should be assertive and ask to be on top for their own safety. Always double check what your pastors say, because a lot of the times they say things that are not in the Bible, and people blindly accept it as the Word of God, and it's not the Word of God. The same pastor tried to say that oral sex was immoral, but oral sex is clearly depicted in Song of Solomon to be good, and is also much more desirable method for women in terms of pleasure and safety. It is important to have a safe build-up sexually, because it really is just rape if you let him penetrate you the first time. First time in quotes, because a lot of people, I'm talking about intercourse, but you know, it's really, okay, let's talk about chastity rape culture. Because what I mean when I say the first time is that if you're not doing anything more than like kissing, or even touching, and then you get married and you go straight to intercourse, that's really dangerous. There should be some fingering, there should be some oral sex, there should be a lot of things that make you more comfortable before you go full into penetration, because that's really, really dangerous. It's really important to go through the bases before feeling comfortable enough to even try or attempt intercourse, and this historical religious practice of consummating your wedding night is just a practice of rape. Women deserve to have pleasure during sex and to feel safe and comfortable during what is a much more vulnerable and potentially dangerous situation for her, not just physically but emotionally and psychologically as well as sexually. And there are too many husbands and pastors who defile the marriage bed, and we need to really unpack what that actually means. Marital rape and any form of sexual abuse is sexual immorality and sexual sin, and that is what defiles a marriage bed. Anything that does not produce the sort of joyous wonder that is Song of Solomon is defilement of the marriage bed. And I'm quoting Hebrews 13:4 when I reference do not defile the marriage bed. And here are some practical tips that I wrote down. Women need to be encouraged to do many other sexual things before intercourse in order to build up and eventually attempt intercourse, so they don't fall silent as their husbands rape them because they feel pressure to consummate their marriage on their wedding night. Or beforehand, because if a guy is pressuring you to have sex under any circumstances, whether you're dating, engaged, or in any situation, that is still rape or sexual abuse if you don't actually let him rape you. That's a lot to unpack, that statement, let him rape you, but as meaning so in so much as you are not able to escape. So if you're able to escape, he's pressuring you, but you just fend him off, like, one, that's already sexual abusive, you should not be in a relationship with that person, and two, it is a good thing that it has not, that the rape has not happened yet. Women need to know that the most important thing during sex is communication between her and her partner, and that she needs to honestly communicate all her likes and dislikes during and after. Before, during, and after. Women need to feel comfortable with that degree of physical intimacy and prepare for it before marriage. They need to have confirmation that their partner is safe and respectful and gentle and sexually healthy, otherwise they will find themselves in a sexually abusive situation that they have spent their wedding budget on and feel pressure from the church and community to stay in it, which is a completely unbiblical, disgusting response to it. And we're going to read the rape of Dinah, and we're going to talk about what is the appropriate response to knowing that your sister has been raped and what is not.